All right, so I've had this Ryobi generator for quite a while, and it's been pretty good. I haven't had really any. Still works. It looks like hell. It's usually in my pickup truck a lot of times, and gets left there for weeks at a time. So that's why it's all faded. But anyway, I was just going to go over some things in case your generator won't start, or is starting to cut off, or something like that, or you're having problems with it. Just a couple of things to check on your generator. I know this is going to be kind of stupid, but first thing, you want to check and make sure your gas is good and it's full. I mean, I know you guys, a lot of guys, some guys are just going to go, "Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't check that." But check the gas, make sure it's full. And smell it, make sure it doesn't stink. If it smells like lacquer, pour it out, tip the generator upside down, and pour it out, and put new gas in. That's number one. Um, the other thing is take the cover off the side here. There's two bolts, and you should be doing this every once in a while and changing oil like every 50 hours. So if you haven't changed your oil, maybe that's a good time to do it. But pull the side cover off and check the oil, and make sure that it's properly full. Because if it's not all the way full, your oil light will flicker. So you might be watching it run, and this little thing that says oil light might start flickering, and then the generator will just shut off. So that's one thing to check. I know it sounds pretty. Some of you guys are going to be like, "Oh my God, this is just ridiculous." Go ahead and give me a thumbs down. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. Somebody else is going to like this and have this happen when some of these things fix it. So make sure it's full of oil. The other thing is, if your generator won't start, make sure it's on a level surface. Because if it's off level, okay, and it's sitting on an off level surface, then it could give a false indication that your oil is not full, even though it's full. So make sure that you also check the oil when it's full, when it's level. Just a real quick little thing to think about. If those things don't work, then more than likely your carburetor is plugged. That might be one of the issues. But first, go through these sequence of different things first before you do that. If next thing you want to do is, I found with mine sometimes that that sometimes when it's in the car or in the truck and I'm going somewhere, it bounces around a lot. And even though this is on off, maybe it isn't all the way on off or something. And what happens is it moves around a lot and bounces around a lot, and the float bowl will leak fuel into the intake and flood it. So I found that a lot of times. So you'll put it on cold start and you'll pull it a few times and it won't start. First thing you want to do is, if it doesn't start when you put it on cold start, go right to run and pull it about, say, 20 times. A lot of times it'll start to kick on and run, because what's happened is this is basically the choke when it's on cold start, and when it's on run, the choke's off. So sometimes what happens is like I said, when it's driving down the road, it's jiggled around a lot, and that fuel has caused it to flood. So if you put it in restart, and just pull it a bunch of times, pull it like 10 or 20 times. If it doesn't start right away on cold start, put it in a restart. So if I pull it like say for instance, if I pull it like 3 poles or 4 poles on cold start and it doesn't start, I immediately move it over to restart and pull it a bunch of times. Pull it 5 or 6, 7 times. And then if it doesn't start, then I'll go back to cold start again, because I want to make sure it's not flooded. Because if it's flooded, you know, if you put it on cold start, the more you pull it on cold start after it's been flooded, it's just going to get worse, and it'll be even harder to start. One of my guys ended up buying a brand new generator because of that reason alone. So he goes, "Oh, that piece of crap, blah, blah, blah." I get home and I pull it. I'm like, "Dude, what's wrong with this?" "Oh, it wasn't doing that when I had it." You know, so a simple thing is to go over to restart and pull it a bunch of times and make sure it isn't flooded. If it does start up and it does start to run really crappy, more than likely, like I said, your carburetor's plugged up. You have to take the carburetor off and clean it, and then put it back on. And if you don't know how to do that, you might take it to a shop to do that. I'm not going to go into all that detail because it's a lot of work to take the carb off of this thing. Another thing you can do in a quick pinch is, if the carb is kind of plugged up, you can actually take, if you have air pressure, just take the lid off here, but be aware that you're probably going to pull the hoses off and pressurize the tank a little bit, and hit it with some air, and then sometimes what it'll do, it'll actually free up that jet if it's not that bad. Most of the time you're gonna have to take the carburetor off and clean it, take it apart and clean it. So but that's the only things you probably will ever have go wrong on this thing. I don't know, I haven't had really any problems with mine other than that. And those are the basic things to look for. I mean, hopefully it helps you. Talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.